right now, I'm giving you the choice. You get to wake up and make that decision every single morning. Hello, my friends. Kenny Stevens here, and welcome to Rookie Real Estate, where your road to success begins right here and right now. Whether you're looking to transition from your day job to your dream job, or you're on the road to your first 50 transactions, success is in the details, my friends, and you're going to unpack the fundamental principles required for you to thrive. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right, I'm back once again, my friends. It's time to get to work. We got way too much to get done, so don't let off the gas. We got to push forward. The last episode, I interviewed Grant, and he just completed his 3rd month full-time in the business. And the 2 episodes before that, I gave you over 60 ways to generate leads. And then before that, there was 115 things to do in your first 90 days. Now come on, it's time to better your best. Let's kill something and drag it home. Guys, email me your stories, share with me your struggles, share your successes. Take a minute and speak into somebody's life. Kenny at rookierealestate.com. Your words are going to be big in people's ears. Share it. Speak into their life. Let's do this together. I love it.
What you waiting for? What you waiting for?
All right, look. My team and I just finished reading the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. If you've not read the book, then you should. Now, we're already starting 7 levels of communication, which you've heard me talk about on this podcast so many times, and they've heard it, so they're like, hey, why don't we start this again in our company? So that's what we did. We're going back through it. Leaders are learners. We can never stop learning. We cannot afford to rely solely on ourselves and what's in our brains. We must learn from other people's failures and successes. Avoid their pitfalls, but benefit from their recovery and wins. All right, so back to the irrefutable laws of leadership. It's so empowering to be reminded that there's a process for everything, and getting started and winning in real estate is no different. There's always a process. And if you can see the big picture and we can draw that picture, and then you can start breaking it down for what works for you, that's what's going to make you successful in real estate, because there's going to be hard times. I keep reminding you of that, but I need you to hear it. It's not just you. Everybody goes through it every single year, month in and month out. It's sometimes a roller coaster. We're just trying to make the peaks and the valleys level out some so it's more consistent and more doable. That's what we're focusing on. Now look, I can't remember if the illustration was used in the book or not, but one of the chapters that we got us talking about in our group discussions was the energy necessary to get a ball rolling. Now, on level ground, it requires some effort. Now, as I picture level ground and pushing a ball, and maybe your daily environment, to get up, you got to get moving and get your current job, and probably what you're currently doing and been doing for years may not require that much effort. But if you're launching into a new career, or you've already launched, the ground is no longer level. You've got a mountain in front of you. You're probably like, great. Good start, Kenny. Thanks for the reminder. Geez, way to encourage me right off the bat. Yes, there is a mountain, but you're not at this alone. You're not by yourself. This is what I'm here for. So here's my point. What if you pictured 2 people pushing to get that ball started? What if you weren't the only one exerting all the effort? What if I was right there with you, all in, ready to get dirty if necessary? There's strength in numbers, my friends, and I'm ready. Are you? All right, quick commercial break. Apple review of the week. Kenny, thanks for these podcasts. It's such a treasure to find truly useful real-life information for those of us getting started out. Love the enthusiasm, especially enjoy how easily you make the connection to actual real-world experiences. So many others just miss the mark. This is the bullseye. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you for taking a moment, giving a 5-star review, and sharing that. The information is free. It doesn't cost you anything to learn this. All I ask is 90 seconds of your time to give me a 5-star review, share a quick note, encourage somebody. This will help boost this podcast so that others can find it and we can really make an impact in this industry and people can win. I'm sick of hearing all the time that 9 out of 10 don't make it. This is an amazing, amazing career, and there's plenty of pieces of pie for everybody to be able to win together. We've got to pour into each other. We've got to change that statistic, and we're going to do that with you listening here today. All right, back to business. So I had this kid that I knew, still know. He was raised in a very poor family. Now, this kid was smart, kind of socially awkward, but very smart. And I took a fancy to him. I thought if I could pour into him and encourage him, help him as he transitioned from high school to college, maybe, just maybe, he could change his stars. So I started meeting with this young man from time to time, learning about his goals, getting him connected with people that could pour into his life and possibly make an impact in his life. My wife and I were able to give him a car and get him going so he could travel back and forth to school. And we paid his first year of car insurance, trying to give him a head start. Nothing fancy, but a game changer in his world. He'd gotten a job at Walmart and planned to work and save while he went to college. All looked good on paper. But as time passed, he just wouldn't get out of bed and push the ball. I felt like we had to get the ball rolling every time, all over again, pushing it up this massive mountain, and then he would just tire out on me. I'd be left holding the ball. I looked this kid in the eye many times and told him, I'll match your effort 100%, and never would you look over and not see me pushing the ball with 100% effort towards your success. All he had to do was his part. Keep moving forward. I learned a valuable lesson with this young man. I've got a significant flaw in my mindset. I unfortunately want more for others than they want for themselves sometimes. And I'd love to say that there was a happy ending to this particular story, and maybe there will be one day. I made my promise and I'll keep it, but I can't do it for him. He's got to get up and show up, even if he has to fake it sometimes. Sometimes we've just got to get up and move forward. Kill something and drag it home. Back in the caveman days, you left the cave, hunted something down for your next meal. You brought it back to the cave and you ate it. That's how you survived. That's what it took. And if you chose not to leave the cave and at least go looking for it, you were guaranteed not to eat that day. That's what I'm talking about when I say kill something and drag it home. It's metaphorically speaking, we got to get out and go do and move. You're saying, well, that's inspirational. Great. Rocking and rolling, kids already crashed and burned, or is on the road for it. It's not the mentality that he had to win in order for all of this to work and for you to pour into somebody's life. I'm not saying that. Here's my point. Nothing is overnight. Even bad decisions and people's lives falling apart rarely happens overnight. The process began long before the final decision was likely made that caused the scale to finally tip towards destruction. The law of motion requires energy being exerted. If you began pushing the ball downhill towards destruction, it's going to gain momentum much faster, and it's much easier to push a ball downhill. That's why so many people do it. Here's my question for you today. Are you going to be a chump, or are you going to be a champ? Listen to the question. Are you going to be a chump or a champ? Right now, I'm giving you the choice. You get to wake up and make that decision every single morning. And in real estate, sometimes that decision is going to be hard because you're going to wake up and all this stuff has got to be done in order to hopefully make some money, kill something, and drag it home. As you've heard me talk in past episodes, I was an officer for many years. And I worked in Nashville, Tennessee, metropolitan government, 25th largest police department in the country. Great city, but shockingly has plenty of crime and darkness to be fought. I was in a violent crimes unit called a flex unit. Now, we were proactive and usually the first to any major crime in progress within our area. We would go actively looking for bad guys, saturating high crime areas, being a visible deterrent. It was intense and a lot of fun and very rewarding at times. Now, our sergeant, he was a beast. He was made for this type of work. There were 6 of us plus the sergeant, and we were a highly motivated group of officers. Through the process of blowing and going, saving the world, or at least our world, every now and then, we would stumble upon a kid that was clearly in over his head, doing dumb stuff, and found himself caught in the back seat of a police car fixing to go to jail. Now, I'm not talking about curfew issues. When I say kid, I'm not even really talking about a juvenile. Sometimes the person wouldn't even necessarily be young, just immature and reckless in their decisions. Now, my sergeant had a fabulous ability to identify potential. Every now and then, he would see a light in somebody. Something would spark an interest in a particular suspect, and our whole unit would see it coming. But the first time you witness it, it was mesmerizing. It's as if you could personally put yourself in the suspect's shoes, hands cuffed behind your back, sitting on a curb, 2 o'clock in the morning, surrounded by a bunch of cops. Clearly, life was fixing to change as you knew it. And then my sergeant would begin the speech. He would start asking the person questions, personal questions, asking about their mom and dad, asking how far they had made it in school. These aren't the questions required to take somebody to jail. So the first time I heard it, I was intrigued, like, what's happening? And then my sergeant would dig deeper, ask him what they wanted in life, what their dreams were, what they were good at, asking them who they loved and who loved them, asking how their decision tonight was going to affect their life. Deep and personal questions. Now, I heard this speech about a half a dozen times over a 4-year period. So not very often. Now, each officer on my team would make at least 10 traffic stops per night and take about 2 people to jail per night, each. So 4 or 5 times hearing this speech was not very often. Same with the other 6 guys in our unit. But whenever my sergeant would start these questions, we leaned in too, every time. Sometimes we would even smile because we knew what was coming, and if this kid played his cards right, he was fixing to get the break of a lifetime. You see, police have this thing, what we call discretion. And oftentimes crime is black and white. It is what it is. You break the law, you must go to jail. But there's some cases that a crime committed may not necessarily require, per se, going to jail. It's funny looking back because none of us ever really rolled our eyes or scoffed at the Chump or Champ speech. Maybe it's because all of us needed to hear it again, to be reminded that we have a choice. Rolling the ball up or down the hill of life requires energy, effort, motion. Every day, every minute, you're given a choice to move that ball. Sometimes we kick it back and forth, playing with fire, pushing the ball hard up that hill during the day and when we're working, but turning around and punching it right back down the hill at night, making poor decisions that could negatively alter our lives forever. Not every kid that was given the Chump or Champ speech was taken home or let go. But no matter the outcome, when given the choice, I assure you, none of them will ever forget that moment when they were called out, point blank asked, given the choice. My sergeant would get eye to eye with them and say, right here, right now, I need you to decide. Are you a chump or are you a champ? I can't give that speech on this podcast. It's target specific. It's not a speech that will ever be written down. It's just not possible. Too many factors, too many moving parts. Kind of like our life. Too many variables. After my sergeant would pour into them for about 20 minutes, he would ask them the question. Often they would mumble, champ. That was never good enough. My sergeant would have them eventually yelling that they were a champ. It was a beautiful sight to see, inspiring. I can remember tears often rolling down their face. My sergeant would demand that the handcuffs be taken off, saying, get those handcuffs off that man, because champions don't go to jail. I've got to admit, guys, it was hard putting this into the show notes, putting this together. I had to stop several times and walk away from my computer. It was 10 or 12 years ago, the last time I heard that speech. But I can remember it like it was yesterday. Let me ask you something. Are you a chump or are you a champ? Just like in the book, there are 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And every day you get to make that choice, often several times a day. Growth in real estate requires decisions, requires movement, requires you to make a choice. Energy is going to be expounded today if you woke up. You're going to push the ball, one direction or the other. And yes, one way is uphill and requires an immense amount of energy to get it moving. But you're not alone. I'm here ready to help. There's people in your world that are there, ready to help. A couple days ago, a buddy of mine celebrated 10 years of sobriety. 10 years. He was a drunk. He had to have a liver transplant. His choices affected many lives, but one day he made a decision. His friends gave him a coin to celebrate the past 10 years. He posted on Facebook that it was now one of his most treasured possessions. And then he said, I must earn the right to keep it one day at a time. Right now may be your moment. Today, you have a choice. Are you going to be a chump or a champ? I would love to hear what you decide. Email me, Kenny@rookierealestate.com. And if you're listening on the Anchor app, record it. Let me hear it. I've unloaded a lot of to-dos in the past 10 episodes. You've got a lot to get done. And we're just tip of the iceberg. Sometimes when your plate gets full, you need to ask yourself this question. Maybe it's time to inspire somebody around you. I promise you, they won't forget it. But no matter their decision, we're all given a choice. What will yours be? Special thanks to my producer extraordinaire, Scott Parker. I couldn't do this without him. He is a champion every single day. This content is written by me, your host, Kenny Stevens, and I would love to take credit for inventing the wheel, but it's just simply not the case. I'm here today sharing what I've learned from so many. Thanks, Sarge. Rookie Real Estate is brought to you by DeSelms Real Estate in Franklin, Tennessee. Until next time,